Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, just doing a quick overview on the latest PlayStation State of Play. I would just post the raw reaction video, and I was going to, but of course, every trailer nowadays got to use some copyrighted music here or there, and I don't feel like dealing with the headache that is YouTube. So instead, I'm going to play back my reaction in the back while I give my overall thoughts on each title. I either be giving them a thumbs up or thumbs down. While I definitely had middling responses to some things, they're not full-blown thumbs up or thumbs down, I'd rather just do this. It's simpler for measuring whether or not I liked seeing the thing or that I didn't, and I'll explain why for each game. First up, we had Astro Bot, and this is just a thumbs up. I have seen so many clips of this game on Twitter of all the stages, the creativity, and while I think it leans a little bit heavily into the Sony properties, I don't think it needs to, and that's been a discussion that's been popping up. That being said, it's still leaning into it with this. It has Stellar Blade, it has Warhammer stuff, and that's perfectly fine because at its core, it is a fun game. Hopefully they have the confidence to stand on that in the future and just do something Astro Bot related. But just on how awesome I think this series is now that it has 2 games, and hopefully we'll have 3 in the future, it gets a thumbs up just because it's cool. Then we had the Midnight Walk, which was really creepy, but it's getting a thumbs up for the handcrafted creativity that it brings. I'm not always super into horror games. In fact, I like reading about the lore of horror games and horror movies more than I actually like playing and watching them. But whenever I see something that clearly looks like a lot of love went into it, I have to give it a thumbs up because I really want to appreciate the devs that are going out of their way to do stuff like this. Then we had Hell Is Us, which is a third-person action game. I don't know if it's meant to be a Souls-like. I know everyone was screaming Souls-like when they saw it, and I don't really know how to feel about this one. I'm going to give it a thumbs up just because I am a big fan of Souls-likes. I like to see more games enter the genre, but they all have to be played before I can know if I like them. So this is just getting a thumbs up because I'm interested in learning more or seeing more in the future, but it was one of the more middling games that I saw during this presentation. Then we had Metro Awakening VR. It's a thumbs down. Like, very rarely do I give a thumbs up to a VR game because I'm just not interested in it. You know, I think the way the technology has gone, I've seen some really cool stuff, and I've even experienced some really interesting and unique stuff. It's not all flops, but I'm just not that engaged with VR. It's not something I plan on really getting into. And so it's hard to get excited about something that I just deep down know will never be something I lay my hands on, go out of my way to see more of. It's gotta fall into that category. And we got back-to-back thumbs downs with ArcheAge Chronicles. Now, I'll give ArcheAge this. Every time ArcheAge does something, everyone seems to really like it when it first comes out. It's 3 months, 6 months down the line, however long it takes, that it always falls apart. So fool me once, okay, fool me twice, I'm not willing to be fooled a third time. Maybe it'll be good, but that's only a maybe, and it's getting a thumbs down just because of how much ArcheAge has been fumbled over the past however many years. Then Palworld gets a thumbs up. It's getting a thumbs up because I've played Palworld and it's cool, and more people having access to it is a good thing. I mean, I think that's always going to be celebrated nowadays. The more games that are released on more platforms simultaneously, or even eventually down the line, that's just a thumbs up for me. Cool game. Although that lawsuit, I'm sure keeping my eye on. Next was a big surprise, Lunar 1 and 2 Remaster. Of all the RPGs from the olden days that I was expecting to see a remaster of, Lunar was definitely not one of them. I remember there was a video game store that had like a demo disc or something with Lunar on it, and it would like play the like main screen trailer, and it would show all like the anime cutscenes, and I was fascinated by it as a kid, and I only ever got to play it in the demo stations, and then a friend of mine had it as well. I've never played through them, but I've always been infatuated with the idea, kind of like Breath of Fire. I really want to play Breath of Fire 1 through 4 because I've only played 5. And if you know, you know. That's not a good thing. So Lunar gets a big thumbs up. For me, this was, I guess the retro RPG nerd in me has to say this was best in show for me. I was most excited about seeing this. So yeah, that's a big thumbs up. Then we had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge DLC with some new characters and the new OST. This gets a thumbs down just because I think Shredder's Revenge is good. I think it's a cool game. But I wasn't excited to see it on the show. I was like, oh, 2 new characters that like I don't personally care about that much, and the new soundtrack. It's like I can appreciate a good DLC for a game even if I'm not planning on playing it or picking it up. This just wasn't one of those times. But cool game, I'll say that at least. Speaking of DLCs, the Shadow the Hedgehog movie pack for Sonic X Generation. They really shouldn't have named it that. Don't Google search Sonic X Shadow Generations. That's what I meant to say. That gets a thumbs up. only because I'm really glad to see them seemingly doing good with Shadow after all these years. After Sonic Adventure 2, which is one of my favorite Sonic games and one of my favorite games of all time, probably, they really fumbled Shadow. Like, it was just like a wasted asset that you just couldn't figure out like how to incorporate or how to do anything neat or cool that wasn't like just over the top edgy. And while they're still kind of leaning into that, I think the movie pack is a cool thing. I like seeing them do more stuff with Shadow the Hedgehog. It's of course cool getting to hear Keanu Reeves again. So it gets a thumbs up. Fantasian Neo Dimension, the release date trailer. So December 5th is when Fantasian is coming out. And for those who don't know, this was a game that was locked in the Apple Arcade for quite a long time. It's made by Final Fantasy grandfather, I guess I'll call him grandfather at this point, Hironobu Sakaguchi, with music from Nobuo Uematsu. I've played the first third of the game, and it was fantastic. I did not play the other 2/3. For those who don't know, on the Apple Arcade, it released in 2 parts. The first part is equivalent to about 1/3 of the game, and that is the only part that I played, whereas part 2 is the majority of the rest of the story, all the deep end game stuff. And I've heard some criticisms of part 2. They are addressing that, of course, with some difficulty modifications, or settings, I should say. They're adding voice acting to it. And I'm really excited because it was a good game and I want more people to experience it. So yeah, that's a big thumbs up too. Then we had Dragon Age Veilguard. They had a trailer where they're fighting like a dragon. You know, it's Dragon Age. You gotta fight a dragon. So of the middling things, like this one was really hard to pick thumbs up or thumbs down. I want Veilguard to be good. I don't even think it's going to be bad. Like, I'm not in the camp, like, you know, there's a lot of argument about whether or not Veilguard's like, you know, it departing from the old Dragon Age stuff means it's going to be terrible, or the graphic style just not really meshing. Like, there's so much discussion happening around it. I'm kind of just like, when the game comes out, I'll know if it's good. But I know that as good as character relations and like the character customization are things that excite me, they're never going to be the reason I buy a game. And right now, that seems to be where most of the excitement is for Dragon Age. The gameplay is not making me go, I need to buy this game. Like, that's my problem with it. Like, every time I see the gameplay, I'm like, and I don't even necessarily think it needs to have any of the old Dragon. Like, it doesn't need to have DA Origins or DA Inquisition. I would like it to have Inquisition gameplay because I liked Inquisition's gameplay, but I don't feel like it needs to be any of those things. But what it is, I'm not excited about yet. It might be one of those things I just need to play. So just because of how like unsettling and unsure I am about Veilguard, it kind of gets a thumbs down for this, because seeing more gameplay is not convincing to me. At this point it is, I need to play it, judge it for myself, and until then, I'm just going to be question mark. Alan Wake 2 DLC. I mean, this trailer I wasn't like too excited seeing it, so I guess it gets a thumbs down. Alan Wake 2 is really cool, but it just gets a thumbs down because this part of this wasn't exciting for me. Hitman VR. So I said it's very rare I'll give a VR game a thumbs up. I'm going to give it to Hitman only because it looks really good. Like, it looks hilariously jank like VR games do, but Hitman, as serious as it can sometimes seem if you're unfamiliar with it, if you have paid any attention to the recent years of Hitman, it is one of the most funny and entertaining games that I have had the privilege of seeing and occasionally playing. Like, and so putting that in VR, they did a really good job of showcasing, like, this is a game where VR is like kind of an okay thing. I still won't play it, so it's kind of rough to give the thumbs up, but just because the presentation made me laugh, made me smile, made me kind of excited, it has to get a thumbs up. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered. So this actually got spoiled for me before I got to see State of Play. This and Palworld both showed up on the PlayStation Store the morning of before State of Play. But that being said, really cool to see another classic game. Similar to Lunar, I never would have had Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver Remasters on my list. But listen, there's a lot of gems from back in the day that are either not easy to get your hands on nowadays or just not easily accessible for new people, or they don't know about it. This is definitely one that's going on my thumbs up, and it's going on my recommended for any of you who have not played any of the Legacy of Kain games. You know, it's funny, I'm looking at my list of games, and the next one's called Fear the Spotlight. And even though I just made this list before recording, after going through State of Play and writing down every game, I had already forgotten what this was. This was like the Blumhouse, like PlayStation 1 era graphics horror game. It looks okay. And it's kind of funny how PlayStation 1 graphics are coming back. Like, not just remasters too. Like, I mean, that graphic style, Nightmare Cart, which was Bloodborne Cart before, looks really good. It's crazy how good Bloodborne looks as a PlayStation 1 game. It's a thumbs down. I just wasn't thrilled by this. I don't really know what else to say, but I think the concept is cool. Meanwhile, Towers of, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this up, Aghasba, this seemed to be another really cool game where you have these islands and you're customizing them and people can visit. I'm actually a big lifestyle game enjoyer. I know I don't make any content on it, and I've skipped some of it when it comes to 14, like housing, and I haven't done very much Island Sanctuary. But Animal Crossing I went nuts on when it re-released. I used to play it all the time. I used to pick up all sorts of games that involve that kind of stuff when I was younger before I did content creation. So I like progression drip, and that's kind of what it is. That's how I treat those kind of games now. They're essentially progression drip dopamine hits, and that's definitely something that resonates with me. Auto clickers like Adventure Capitalist, like, you know, Flash games and stuff like that. I was addicted to them as a kid. So these are kind of like larger scale, grander versions of those to me, and I enjoy those. So this gets a thumbs up. Lego Fortnite split screen and that controller, it's thumbs down. Lego Fortnite is good, like, but this is just one of those. It was a part of a presentation. Like, I'm not gonna go like, yay, split screen and a controller for me to buy. No, it's not gonna be thrilling. Dynasty Warriors Origins, yo, this immediately started digging up so many memories of getting fourth weapons for characters in Dynasty Warriors 3 and 4. Guan Yu was my character back in the day, and I had to put down Muso games after just buying so many Dynasty Warriors games, Samurai Warriors. I never even got around to playing Warriors Orochi. And then I haven't played any of the recent Muso games. Like there was like Dragon Quest, and there was Zelda. There was a Gundam one like 15 years ago at this point. The demo for that's probably the last Muso game I played. I'm going to give this a thumbs up because I think Muso games always look great. I just haven't played them in a very long time. And seeing this kind of gave me the itch. So that's thumbs up on maybe getting me to pick up a Muso game for the first time in like 15 plus years. Monster Hunter Wilds. At this point, you know what's funny? I almost gave this a thumbs down. Not because it's Monster Hunter Wilds and it's like, you know, not exciting. I don't need to see any more Monster Hunter. Like, I'm sold. I just need to play it at this point. But no, it's obviously it's a thumbs up. It's Monster Hunter Wilds. And we got the release date February 28th. And that's earlier than I thought it was going to be. Far separated from some other things that I'm already planning on doing around that time. So really good launch period for me. So yeah, I mean, big thumbs up. But when are they going to give me my Tonfa? Come on. Come on, Capcom. Please. Just maybe in the DLC? Like, please? Lego Horizon. So I'll say this. I think all the Lego games are great. I think if you haven't played a Lego game, you owe it to yourself to play at least one Lego game. Because they're almost all really good. They're way. If the last Lego game you played was the old PC one where you had to like deliver pizzas and stuff on that, like it was like Lego Island. That was the last one you played. They've come a long way since then. Trust me. But I gave it a thumbs down because it's like the third trailer I've seen in like what 2 or 3 months. I'm getting Deathloop flashbacks every time I see a Lego Horizon. Like I don't need to see any more Lego Horizon. Like I get it. It's a state of play. Of course, Horizon's gonna be here. But it gets a thumbs down. I just don't need to see it anymore. Like, I've seen it too much. Oh, and then Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Listen, I actually think it looks gorgeous. Like, I think it looks remastered. Crazy as it sounds. But it's a thumbs down. We don't need this game remastered. It still looks good as it is. Can you make it look better? Sure. Does it need to? No. So it gets a thumbs down, even if I do think that it's noticeably better. Meanwhile, we had Stellar Blade. Now, the photo mode is whatever. I'm not big on photo modes. Like, yeah, it's nice. Maybe I'll snap a few pictures. Like, if I want to make a screenshot for something, I definitely try to do that. But the Nier collaboration, we should have seen this coming. Everyone said it. Everyone compared it. And Yoko Taro himself showed appreciation for Stellar Blade and Eve on socials. I'd be willing to bet that every other collaboration, I think Yoko Taro's has waited for companies to come to him. I bet he went to them with this idea like, you got a big booty robot, I got a big booty robot. I mean, they're androids, but whatever. Let's work together on this. That's going to be good. That gets a thumbs up. Then we had some PlayStation classics and like PlayStation Plus stuff. It was like WWE 2024 Doki Doki Literature Club, which, whatever. Dino Crisis. Seeing Dino Crisis pop up blew my mind. To see it even mentioned at this point, which kind of made me excited, but then I realized it's just Dino Crisis. It's not like a remaster or anything, so it's whatever. Legacy of Kain Blood Omen showing up in the classics catalog. Last of Us Part 1 in the game catalog for PlayStation Plus. Listen, there's nothing wrong with any of the games that showed up here, but I'm not excited. Like, it's just, I'm like Last of Us 1, like I'm not going to give that a thumbs up. Again, similar to Horizon. I just don't need to see it. But, yo, Capcom. Exoprimal didn't work out. which means it's Dino Crisis time. Okay. Then we had the last section was like, there was like 6 or 7 minutes here that I felt like wasted my time. The Chroma collection for the PlayStation 5. I'm colorblind. I definitely don't care about the Chroma collection. Not to mention, the PS5 Pro is pre-orderable. I'm recording this on September 25th. It's pre-orderable tomorrow. So the Pro showcase maybe could have been exciting, but when you're trying to show off how good your Pro version of your existing console is that you're charging $700 for without a disc tray and without a stand, you should maybe not just do a bunch of rapid cuts between games that feature on it. Instead, focus on really showing people the differences instead of making everybody else go do side-by-side comparisons on YouTube and Twitter. And so I just think it was a bad showcase overall. I'm going to get a PS5 Pro because I do this for a living, but there's a thumbs down. Both of those were thumbs down because they weren't exciting. And then it ended with Ghosts of Yotei. It took me a while to figure out that this was anything related to the Ghosts, I guess I'll call it a franchise at this point. But Ghost of Tsushima, to me, felt like a game where the developers understood what could make their game better or make their game more engaging or give their game more reach or just more features without ever really compromising what Ghost of Tsushima was. I definitely wouldn't have pegged Ghost of Tsushima when it released getting multiplayer raids that were really good. Like, it always felt like the devs were one step ahead when it came to Ghost of Tsushima. And so for them to be doing another game that's, in a separate age with a separate main character, Ghosts of Yotei sets the precedent for the franchise to continue on. And so long as the quality stays the same, or improves even, then I think we're looking at a lot of really good games coming out of them over the next several years. So really excited. That's a big thumbs up. That was almost best in show, but Lunar, listen, I'm old at this point. The only reason Lunar got best in show for me was because it was old. Because I'm old. Sorry. And it's old. We're both old. We're both old together, and I want to be old. All right? And that's it for the State of Play, the most recent one. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. A lot of these thumbs ups are kind of in the middle for me, and some of the thumbs downs are too. There was almost nothing I outright hated, but obviously, again, there's just some things I accept I'm not going to be excited about, and that's fine. But like, again, I'm not going to be excited for Metro Awakening VR or ArcheAge or the Pro Showcase. Like, did I hate those parts? No. At least I didn't have to see like another Call of Duty display for like 13 minutes or anything like that. That I would have hated, but no, everything else here, it's like, even if I think the games look good, I just maybe didn't want to see them. So, but overall, I thought this was a good State of Play. As an RPG fan, there's a few things on here that are definitely exciting, some more than others if you're very anxiously waiting for Veilguard. But yeah, let me know what you thought in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I'll probably do this for other gaming showcases in the future. There's a nice way of kind of wrapping things up, but it's just a tiny bit more concisely. Only a little bit. I wish I could, if I can ever just post a pure reaction, I will. But for now, I have this. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, take care.